I mean, every single shot we look at, we want to tell a story for the fans, but at the same time, we don't want to give them everything. We want to, sometimes we'll hint to things. You know, we want to tell them that story. We want them to get involved. We want them to feel it. You know, it's, you know, Black Ops is a dark and gritty and intense universe, and we want to have fun with that. But we also want to leave some stuff on the table. And intentionally on this one, we decided we didn't want to tell everybody the entire story of the game. We wanted to leave something. We just wanted to give them the setup and get them into it and get them into the, you know, into the mood of what Black Ops 3 is all about, and then let them spin on it a little bit.
Let's look at that for a moment. You said Black Ops 3. Was there ever a time where you weren't going to make Black Ops 3, where maybe we were going to go back in time to some World War II action, or was it always future and pushing the boundaries of realism, kind of like that?
So it's interesting you asked a question that way. First off, there was no doubt in our minds we weren't done with Black Ops 2. I mean, we wanted to make Black Ops 3. We had a story to tell that we were going to continue to tell about the evolution of technology and how that interacts with us in our everyday lives. Vaughn and the team had all kinds of game design and mechanics that they wanted to do that was, you know, that we wanted to make for Black Ops 3. But Black Ops is always, you know, isn't just about a time setting. It never really has been, if you think about it. It's about Black Ops and the mindfuckery that goes along with it.
Right.
So, you know, Black Ops 3 is primarily here set in this future time frame. So just leave it at that.
Awesome. Where do you draw the line with the technology that you bring in from outside sources to make Black Ops 3 a realistic future? Where do you see your research coming together to really kind of further the genre and further that kind of futuristic warfare, but not going too far off base so it's believable?
So there's a shitload of research that we'll do. I mean, there's our narrative team and our design teams. Like, they'll do all kinds of research on technology, and we'll be, you know, we become experts on on where technology is today, and we'll literally draw a line out in time and ourselves create a timeline about how that technology evolves and how it could plausibly get integrated. Oftentimes it gets integrated through consumer means. You know, we have things like, you know, direct neural interfaces that go into brains. Well, those are now starting to be used for people who have prosthetic limbs and to be able to communicate, to be able to move body parts and things like that, right? I could easily see that stuff being used to solve real medical problems like Alzheimer's if you had brain implants. But once you start integrating technology in with the human body, it can go in all kinds of different directions, right?
Yeah.
So
that's really cool. So let's talk about the big thing that we saw, cybernetically enhanced soldiers. That's not the exosuit by any means that we just saw. What is that all about?
So cybernetically enhanced soldiers are, it's literally the fusion of humans with technology. I mean, we're starting to see wearables and things like that, right? As this stuff evolves, what's going on inside the military, especially with the advancement of robotics and drones and technology, you're starting to see soldiers that are going to be enhanced both physically and mentally to be able to like combat the wars of the future, right? I mean, if you're going to have that kind of technology on the battlefield, you're going to need to be able to combat that. And soldiers are basically going to be retrofitted. They're going to have upgrades, you know, and it's not just a physical thing inside of our game. It's absolutely about being connected there's like a connected network on the battlefield, right, with all this technology, and to be able to effectively combat in those kinds of future war scenarios.
Okay.
Does two things for the design in really interesting ways when you talk about cybernetics. So on one hand, it gives us actually a true, valid technology that can be applied to the fiction to really justify and explain what would be normally a gameplay benefit. Really, typically maybe just an icon that suddenly lets other things happen because it's an icon that you selected. Well, here you can tie it and map it to something real, and that makes it very tangible, and it's actually more tangible when we've been getting away with all sorts of shenanigans by applying gameplay to just icons that you pick in a menu. So this actually helps you in that regard from a storytelling point of view, from a fiction point of view, and really from a believability and realism point of view, because it's real stuff, it's not made up stuff. And on the other side of that, what you can do with the cybernetic side of it is really for the main kind of components that a specialist character has and can benefit and can do. The things that you will choose and select as a player and the way that you interact with those mechanics are a result of the cybernetics, and how cybernetically augmented that particular player is or isn't is somewhat in control of what he can and cannot do. And it creates a really nice core combat loop that I think all the Treyarch Call of Duty fans are going to be pretty into when they see how it applies to the competitive MP game anyway.
Right. So talking about MP and segueing from single player, at what point do you decide what does and doesn't make the cut from single player to multiplayer? Because a lot of people like to look at the single player trailer, see all this tech, and a lot of the times not everything will make it into the multiplayer. So you'll have different setups, different vehicles that won't make it in. Where do you guys make that decision on what makes it and what doesn't?
This game has got, by all measures, the highest degree of integration between the sort of three major modes of the game, the campaign and co-op experience that it is, the zombies co-op experience that it is, and multiplayer, the competitive experience that it is. In fact, when the game development was started, it was started flat. There was no distinction really between any of those things. And you don't really get into that until you start to get into production, but it wasn't designed that way. So it really is, I think, Treyarch's best efforts so far to create consistency across them. Now, there are things that are not in multiplayer that are in campaign and vice versa, but there's also no hard and fast rules about it whatsoever. So
whatever right for the mode, right?
Yeah, whatever's right for the mode, whatever makes the most sense. And in fact, this particular game has got things that were designed to go into both. And you'll see that. So you call that a campaign trailer just there. I call it a game trailer, and you'll see why.
If there's one thing you guys want to take away from the trailer, is it the movement system? Is it the way the gameplay flows? What is it?
Yeah, it's that Black Ops is back. I mean, like, if you love Black Ops 2, you're going to love Black Ops 3. I mean, and it's the one thing that I regret the most about the trailer. It's that you haven't actually had a chance to play it yet, but you will.
I regret that.
But you will. No, it feels so good. Right. I mean, there's just, and you know what? There's just so much in this game. I mean, the campaign and the multiplayer and the zombies, it's so rich. It's the deepest, it's the biggest game ever in this franchise in terms of just scope and content, and it's and just can't, it's hard to convey all that in a trailer sometimes.
I hope they take away and can see just how tightly we wound the combat loop and how intense the game pace is. And when you pick up the control, when you feel it, you'll know right away that this is a very tight, very fast, very fluid feeling game all the way through on both sides and even in zombies. And I think players are going to, really kind of understand where we're going the second they can play it.
So you guys had an extra year of development. Usually we were on that 2-year cycle before, and then with the introduction of a third studio, you had that extra year to really tune this game. How did you use that extra year? Because it's been pretty amazing. You made a whole game in 2 years. Now we have this whole extra year. You got 50% more time. What'd you do with it?
Well, the Treyarch team, is seriously ambitious. So they used the time to they just blew this thing up. Every single part of this game is just huge. I mean, there is so much going into it. All the new gameplay features, takes time to develop those and iterate them. The feel of this game, I mean, they labored over that feel of the game until they started building out the environments. They kind of, design, control, and map design, that goes hand in hand, like right from the beginning. I mean, before you start arting stuff up, these guys are just grinding on that and iterating on it. Quite simply, if we didn't have this extra year, I don't think we could have made the game that we wanted to make. We needed this time so that we could push literally on every front, like from the co-op and on the campaign to everything Vaughn and team are doing on the multiplayer to this totally insane zombies mode that we're developing.
I mean, how much time do we have to answer this question? Because this first year, you got a next-gen game, and you've got a tool and set up for that, and that takes a lot of energy and effort to be ready to pump this kind of quality and fidelity and get the engine ready, taking apart entire sections of it and putting them back together to make sure that makes sense. And then we also did a lot of structural work just as a studio to try to put the studio in the best place it could be to make that game, and that takes a long time too, organizationally. So, I mean, there is a laundry list of things that we spent in that first year of development, and we were doing that while we were trying to figure out what kind of game we wanted to make, so all that goes hand in hand.
Yeah.
You talked about building the level design around the movement in the game, which a lot of people feel is extremely important. A lot of times you see companies using the single-player maps and rehashing them for multiplayer game modes. And how important is that to use the game's mechanism and of movement to fine-tune the map to really bring the best multiplayer experience and single-player experience as well?
So lanes, 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 frame, frame, frame. Right? That's the saying. So we keep the player in frame, we keep him on a lane, and that way you can control the engagements, because it doesn't matter what kind of movement you have if you can't get into a good head-on-head fight. Right. If you don't win the fight because you have the better gun skill. These are Treyarch DNA. This is Treyarch mantra. This is Treyarch design philosophy. I mean, we do not mess with this stuff. So we could do any sort of motion system, any kind of new core movement mechanic, and those rules are fundamental and they wouldn't change, and they still apply here.
Hey, we're The Race, the team that races to max prestige every year on Twitch when the new Call of Duty launches.
So now that you've seen the incredible Black Ops 3 reveal trailer, click the Race to E3 button over on the left side of the page. You get a chance to win a trip to E3 2015, as well as be one of the first people in the world to play Black Ops 3 multiplayer alongside us.
Enter now! Hey guys.
Weapons don't have instincts. Weapons don't have loyalty. Weapons don't have judgment. Soldiers do. What happens when the soldier becomes the weapon? How far can we push technology?
I could not foresee this thing happening to you
before it starts pushing back.
Now and get access to the multiplayer beta.
We're back. If you're just joining us again, still here with Vonderhaar as well as Mark Lamia, studio head Mark Lamia. And Von, we are going to probably talk about a little bit about multiplayer and competitive. With the Twitch audience, a lot of these guys really focusing on multiplayer. It's the core of the game. How do you keep the game fresh and keep multiplayer interesting for these people after Black Ops 1, Black Ops 2? Do you continue that, or are you reinventing the gameplay significantly? What's the deal?
Well, man, it's just a laundry list of things to talk about when it comes to the competitive side of things. And very macro level, we're going to go and do probably a really big deep dive on this a little later in the year about what the competitive agenda is specifically. I have a lot of stuff to tell you about that. But look, Fast and Furious gameplay requires a good competitive bent. People give me a hard time internally because they say, well, was it fun? And I said, well, was it balanced? And if it's balanced, it'll be fun. And I believe that, and it's in my heart, and I catch a little slack for it sometimes. It has to be a competitive game. I think there's going to be things in here that the super competitive folks find really appealing. I think there's going to be stuff in here that the casual competitive folks find appealing. It's a big audience. There's a lot of players. They all want something a little bit different out of the game. You have to think about that really carefully to try to figure out which areas you push into. And in the case of Black Ops 3, you push in both areas really hard, and that's exactly what happened.
From Black Ops 2 to Black Ops 3, what are the main core components that you've brought from the last gen title to the next gen title? Because you have all this new hardware available, you have all this new technology. What core components did you keep that everybody's going to be happy to see in Black Ops 3?
So look, I mean, you have to take it almost by mode, by game that we make, right? Because you're getting 3 games here. So on the campaign side, look, you're going to get like that epic, cinematic, insane action thrill experience that that really I think Call of Duty delivers better than anybody. But the difference this time around is obviously it's co-op. You've got all these abilities on your cyber soldier that you can actually use that has a gameplay component. And then we've integrated open area designs. I mean, you're not always on the rails with this one, man. It's like sometimes you have those cinematic experiences and we're trying to tell you some story and some narrative, and then we'll just open it up. And you can tackle that whole engagement any way you want. I mean, you could tackle it by yourself playing it solo, or you can play with up to 4 players, and there's just stuff going on everywhere. And we had to develop an entirely new AI system for Call of Duty for this game. It couldn't take it. It's one of the things we did taking with that extra year is an entirely new AI system from the ground up. I'll let Vaughn tackle multiplayer in a second, but on the zombies front, I'm not gonna get into too much the zombies right now because we're gonna roll this out this year. You guys are gonna love it. But it's a totally new zombies experience, but everything, look, if you love Treyarch's zombies, you're gonna love what we've got. One of the things we did add to it that players have been asking for is there is a player progression system now in there, so you'll be able to level up as a zombies player in zombies, and I think that's really cool, and that obviously takes its heritage from multiplayer, and you're gonna be able to do that even in the campaign too. There's a progression system for the player and the campaign that you're gonna have, and they all owe it to its heritage to multiplayer, but they're each their own game, and they fit inside with what those games are trying to do.
I mean, this is exactly what I'm excited about. So in a way, the multiplayer competitive game is a little more campaign because of the specialists, because of the character selection that they offer, their selection, their backstory, their voice. Multiplayer's got its influence there. And campaign, the co-op campaign has its influence from the multiplayer sandbox side of things and being able to take a different setup and have that change the way that you actually play any particular level. So these things are merging, right? And it's all online, which as an online guy is the best thing in the world for me. And that's what makes this game sort of push above and beyond where Black Ops 2 was, where campaign was not multiplayer, and multiplayer was definitely not campaign, and zombies sit squarely in the middle, and now each of them sort of draws from each other, and I think that fans are going to be able to move through these things in the same way. I mean, they're not even the same executable, it's just one game. The menuing system, the navigation, the lobby, the flow back and forth, all of this has been unified, right? This is how we spent a lot of time.
Yeah, man, when you do a stream on this game, you're gonna be like, hey, what do you wanna do now? Okay, let's play a little zombies. And you're gonna play some zombies, and you're gonna be like, dude, let's go play this level co-op together in the campaign. I've got all these new abilities that I didn't even have when I played it the last time, and go in and play it, and you can play it differently, and you're gonna be like, dude, let's go in and play some multiplayer. And as a group, you're gonna be able to hang together and seamlessly move in between each of these 3 games.
By design.
By design. Previously, you would talk to somebody and they'd say, "Oh, I'm not a campaign player. I'm not a zombies player," And now you're saying this is a joined effort. There's very much you're not a zombies or a campaign or a multiplayer player. You're just a player of the game. Player Black Ops.
So I think the thing that was, one of the interesting epiphanies we had was learning out of Black Ops 2. We used to kind of think of it that way too. It's like, there's zombies people and there's multiplayer people, but that's bullshit. Right. You play both, right? Right. Well, it was real bullshit, man. I'm telling you, we saw the stats, and we're seeing like upwards of like 30% of the people in a single session a couple years after Black Ops coming out playing both zombies and multiplayer in the same session. And I think that was a real epiphany for us. We're like, man, these people, they're enjoying the entire game as an experience, and they're having different experiences. And I think that's part of what has kept Black Ops so strong for so many years, is that people are enjoying it. And we just wanted to make it super easy, super simple, and allow people to just get together and play and enjoy the entire game.
Look, play what makes you happy. If you don't want to play some other part, that's totally fine. But if you want to, then it's on us to make sure that you can do that simply and easily. And there's no requirement. So when you play multiplayer competitively, there's nothing required by playing the campaign game to, say, advance in the progression systems for multiplayer and vice versa, right? So, but the exposure of that, what your campaign level is, what your zombies level is, what your multiplayer level, all that's together, so people can kind of understand the totality of your identity as a Call of Duty Black Ops 3 player. And that's just smart design, really.
Why don't we take a look at some of the things that I noticed during that trailer that a lot of people who are longtime fans might be extremely happy to see. Most notably, the return of gore. I saw a lot of blood going on right there, and as a player, I think that's a fun little part that a lot of games kind of miss out on. You guys brought a little bit more into this game, a little bit more realism. What helped that decision get made?
What was important to us is, you take out somebody, you get that impact, you see it, on zombies. When you take that shot and, a limb goes flying or, whatever it is, there's, you feel it, and so, I don't know, it was something that we did with World at War. And I think that's one of the things about this game. It's like, it takes the best of everything we've done from every one of our games. And I think we tried to bring that forward in Black Ops 3, just whatever it was. And we know people enjoyed having that, and so we wanted to bring it back.
Satisfaction, right? The satisfaction and feedback loop. So from a design point of view, if you're rocking around with a particular specialist and you put somebody down, you need to know, you need to understand it. And one way to do that is to explode them into tiny chunks and bits.
Hey, we're The Race, the team that races to max prestige every year on Twitch when the new Call of Duty launches.
So now that you've seen the incredible Black Ops 3 reveal trailer, click the Race to E3 button over on the left side of the page. You get a chance to win a trip to E3 2015, as well as be one of the first people in the world to play Black Ops 3 multiplayer alongside us.
Enter now! Hey guys.
Weapons don't have instincts. Weapons don't have loyalty. Weapons don't have judgment. Soldiers do. What happens when the soldier becomes the weapon?
Green single turn a deeper blue.
How far can we push technology?
I could not foresee this thing happening to you
before it starts pushing back.
Now and get access to the multiplayer beta.
Welcome back, guys. Still with Mark Lamia and David Vonderhaar. Let's get off of the hardcore nitty-gritty stuff about making this game and more into the personal anecdotal side of things. Is there anything that happened during this game that really stuck out to you guys?
You know what? I think the thing about the anecdotes about this game have to do with us as a studio coming together to make this game and really just saying, like, we always set out to make the best game that we've ever made, but I think this time we had the time to actually completely restructure our studio and try some things, and not have to be on this production schedule where this game's coming out so quickly. And we trashed some ideas. I mean, we really prototyped hard, and we iterated like deeply on this game, and it was pretty intense. I'd be like, I remember getting some milestones and just being like, so is Vaughn like? Well, I was like, what the fuck is this? And then I was like, does Vaughn like this? And really going through it more so than we ever have before, like really experimenting and getting to like what the core essence of this. And it always came down to, it always comes down to fun and does it feel good, right? We can apply the, there's a lot of talk about the fiction and these, cybernetically enhanced soldiers and everything. And that's all, there's a lot of work that goes into that, but make no mistake, it starts with gameplay, and then, we work out all that other stuff.
Man, I was holding my breath for probably 9 months. I'm like, Jesus, what, it took a while. You had to learn how to have the time to fuck it up and fail and move on if it wasn't working. And when do you do that, right? Because we had been wired to do that on a particular cycle, right? So your internal clock after, 10 years, you and I, in this building together, there's just this point where your clock says it's time to move on. It's
My
time
clock
to cut
went
it.
off.
Yeah. Right, so you have to rewire, right? But in the end, it's actually a lot healthier because the level of polish that you get to do, the amount of lessons that you learn. I mean, when you do this kind of motion, you have to relearn how to make maps. You have to relearn how to build combat around it. You have to, and with it. And, anecdotally, it was scary at points.
Yeah. I mean, like when you talk about, like when I was working with the campaign team, it was like, before we were trying to like script particular gameplay moments that would be totally awesome and fun to play. And when we made this new AI system, we were writing script to contain the AI because it was too smart. And sometimes, by the way, that may not actually be fun. It's like, man, if you're pelting somebody and they're just hanging out behind cover the whole time, that's actually pretty smart. But it's not really fun after a while too. So we actually had to rethink how we were making the campaign for co-op. How to integrate this entirely new awesome movement system that Vaughn and his team had developed, across the game modes. It's a lot of stuff.
Yeah, from a game perspective, right? Not a multiplayer perspective. So a lot of everything we were doing in the first year and even a year and a half really was not for any particular part. It was for the game. And I mean, I personally spent time in this room that we're in now, working on something that's not in the game. But if we hadn't done that, we would not have known what to do and not do. And you have to learn how to do that stuff. And I think that stuff will find its way, and if it hasn't already kind of influenced the game in other ways. But I don't think I've ever worked on something for so long that just we don't have as we knew it then, right? So I think that's okay though, and then thank God that anecdotally we had the opportunity to do that and learn.
So you talked about taking risks, and there were just things that did not make the cut, things that just did not make it into the game. Do you have any examples of things that, Vaughn said he was working on something for a while and he just ended up not having it? Do you have any examples of those things?
Yeah, most of Vaughn's work early on in this game I cut. No.
It's funny because it's true.
Yeah, we tried all kinds of stuff. I mean, I'll get anecdotally on the campaign side, but to get the right formula that we wanted for what a campaign game would be, it's like we took it the entire, we go to one side of the spectrum. We'll do this a lot in design where we will just go to an extreme. And so we had to work on that to get that right balance between making sure we have something that feels cinematic and epic and you can do narrative and it can have variety because players just, they play each level. They want it to feel different, right? But we also but it was so fun to have some of those open-ended area gameplay. And on top of that, with all the new mechanics that we wanted to bring in. And so, yeah, we had to cut stuff on that front and bring things forward on this front. It really was an iterative process getting where we got to. And what we did is we struck this beautiful balance between everything you love about Call of Duty, but everything, you wished Call of Duty had, you know, in its campaign after you'd been playing it for a while. And I really think we got a really nice balance for players that they haven't experienced before.
There's two things we do a lot of, and this time around, because of the extra time, you have the opportunity to do them really well and invest in them really heavily. And if you hadn't pegged the meter, if you hadn't opened up the game world entirely, if you had not done that, then you cannot build the systems that allows you to really change the way that you play based on how you're loaded out and equipped and what things you select, you know, other than just a gun. So those things become the other things. You don't know it at the time, right? At the time, it just feels like, oh my God, that's not working. But it's later that you realize that you go from there. The other thing that we do, which always drives me absolutely crazy, but is still the absolute right thing to do every time, is we actually just almost take the entire game away. We'll like pull the whole game apart, right? We'll be like, let's just go see if anybody misses this really important feature that we've had for years for a while, and we'll put it over to the side and we'll turn it off. And I'm going, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, what are we doing? What are we doing? What are we doing? And then you realize, actually not important, or oh my God, that's really important, right? And when you've worked on the game franchise as long as we have, right, you really got to make sure that you look at those things quite carefully. You really got to ensure that you understand what's actually truly important and what's not truly important about how the game plays and how the game feels and how the combat loop works. And you cannot do that by just keeping everything in the game that's ever existed in the game for all of eternity for 10 plus years, right? So that's why you take the whole thing apart. That's why you leave entire sections out of it for not weeks, but months at a time. And it's scary, as you know what, and but in the end, you learn what's really important so that you can craft the experience that you're trying to craft with this one.
Hey, we're The Race, the team that races to max prestige every year on Twitch when the new Call of Duty launches.
So now that you've seen the incredible Black Ops 3 reveal trailer, click the Race to E3 button over on the left side of the page. You get a chance to win a trip to E3 2015, as well as be one of the first people in the world to play Black Ops 3 multiplayer alongside us.
Enter now! Hey guys.
Weapons don't have instincts. Weapons don't have loyalty. Weapons don't have judgment. Soldiers do. What happens when the soldier becomes the weapon?
Green seagull turn a deeper blue.
How far can we push technology?
I could not foresee this thing happening to you.
Before it starts pushing back.
Pre-order now and get access to the multiplayer beta.
All right, let's jump back into it. You guys were talking about specialists. I heard you say it a few times. What is that? What is it about?
This game has got something that I'm really excited for people to put their hands on that sits sort of right in the middle of the power band between sort of what you get with Create a Class and what you'd expect from Create a Class, and the score streaks and what you get and expect from that. Both systems that will be back, both systems that will have new content and choices, both systems that will be very comfortable for players. But it leaves something to be desired in the middle of the power band, and that is the specialist. And a specialist he's a hero, he's a character, he's a selectable item. that players will pick. He has a story, or she has a story, or it has a story, and a voice. And you're really picking a playable character, and you have a power weapon or a power ability, and these are mutually exclusive choices, so you cannot have both at the same time. You have to decide. And you can insert that player character into the battlefield, and you're earning, right? You're building up the ability to use that power weapon, and you're building up the ability to use that ability. And that weapon and that ability is unique and special to the specialist, right? So that gameplay mechanic, I think, was going to create this really interesting dynamic that's going to happen every 1 to 4 minutes in the match per character. And it's really about, game pace, breaking the game pace and making you think. And that's something that when we talk about our core combat loop, we talk about it a lot as being really important.
Yeah, I'm totally stoked about it. I mean, if we talked about it, probably the first thing we talk about is like, so what weapon are you using, right? When we're playing MP. Now what we're going to talk about is it'll be like, so who are you playing, and what weapon are you playing with, or what's your loadout? And I love the fact that the team respected, like, I think create a class in Call of Duty is awesome, and the Pick 10 system's back, and the choices you make there are critical to gameplay, but there's that other critical gameplay choice you're going to make, and that is what's your specialist. And it has a lot of, like, the production values around it are cool, and bringing that into the multiplayer is cool, and I think it's going to be awesome on Twitch for players to see all the different characters and even just have that variety. But the fact that it has its own gameplay associated with it, it doesn't stomp on the other systems. It's just an enhancement. It's another layer there of gameplay and decision making is just awesome. I think it's going to be awesome for people who want to stream. For variety, but I think it's going to be awesome for people who want to watch and see. And the other cool thing about it is, as you continue to play these guys, you'll be able to develop them more uniquely as well. And I think that's going to be awesome too for players.
Puts a nice spin on what it means to look at a character, right, and making the character your own and feeling like a part of the game in that way. And that's what Mark's talking about, the progression of the specialist and what choices you make as you progress them through the leveling system. And and as you'd expect, it'll be really tightly wound into how the other systems work too, and all that stuff is built to go together. And it really helps create that fictional bridge that we're trying to establish in this particular game, between the co-op campaign game and the competitive MP game, and where they overlap. And there's some stuff that's in the game and other areas of the game where you can start to piece together who those characters are and what they do and where they come from. And there's all sorts of unique dialogue that they have and the way that they interact with each other, and all things that I think really kind of amp the production value of the competitive MP side up a bit and just sort of make it more fun overall, really.
So we did not talk too much about zombies yet. It's not your babies specifically. You guys deal with them, but
no, man.
They're all your babies.
They're all my babies.
The studio head should have every single aspect as his own. But where do you guys see that being a progression from Black Ops 2? Besides the fact that it all intertwines, how do you guys see zombies taking that next step forward like you are with multiplayer and campaign?
All right, so promise you guys, we're gonna go all out on zombies this year. You guys are gonna get a ton of it. I'll tell you a few things about it. First off, we are making it's the most rich, the biggest zombies experience Treyarch's ever made, and it's Treyarch zombies. Okay, right. I'm just gonna leave it at that.
Best zombies.
But the thing about us is you never know what we're bringing, because we'll fuck with you. Like we're gonna make like, it is trust me, it is a mind-blowing experience. It's its own game. And what's so cool about it is it's deeper than it's ever been. We're introducing some exciting new systems that fit within it, but don't mess with the simplicity of the thing that we all love when you start in zombies. It's just so easy to get into and play, right? And there's a beautiful progression to it, and it's, getting to that next round, and I can do that the next time I play it, and all that stuff is there. But we do have a player progression system in it, which I'm not going to get into. But that's kind of cool because it really rewards your investment as a zombies player as you rank up, right? I think there's that recognition, not just in the leaderboards, but having that rank as you go through it. But the thing I wanted to say is, like, in total, zombies players are going to be blown away. That fan base has been just awesome to us, and we love that they love the game. It's really the only reason it exists, because we say it now, Call of Duty Zombies, but if you had said that, a half a decade ago, it doesn't flow as nicely, and it's only because the fans have supported it. So we're totally leaning into it with this. We got a ton of surprises, and they're gonna have a lot of fun with it for years.
How are we looking at weapons now? In multiplayer and single player, are we just introducing more new fictional weapons, or is it the same system? What's going on with weapons this time? Vaughn?
You pointing at me. Guns, 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 right? So, look, we have the most talented weapon artist on the planet. And the way to deal with weapons in this game is with this feature that we call the gunsmith. So the gunsmith has 3 major components to it. So first off, let's talk about camos. You know about camos. We've used them before in the progression system. They're actually really important. We have usually 2 types of camos that we do. We usually have the sort of core, military style camos, and we have the kind of more fun camos. And then beyond that, we get into golds and diamonds and all the kind of fancy, rush to kind of figure out what hidden camo exists in the game. There's no hidden camos in this game. So this game, on top of the gunsmith, lets you paint the gun. So this is a type of camo editor, or in layman's terms, emblem editing for weapons, right? So you're actually you're putting decals on guns and you're painting it the way that you want. You're applying material surfaces and properties to it, right? So that lets you sort of stack that with the camo in interesting ways to create unique designs. So, one can imagine the Jericho style, Twitch banner ad or art right on his weapon, advertising in first person the whole time.
Is that a thing I can do?
That's a thing you can do.
Oh my God.
So the last part of the gunsmith story is what we call the attachment variants. So you've seen attachments before. Black Ops 2, we started to visualize attachments. As you know, from a gameplay point of view, we rip perks up, we put them in the attachment system that helps with gun tuning. But this game also has what we call the variant attachment. So this is about how the attachment looks. So every attachment in the game offers gameplay like you'd expect, but then there are variant versions of it that are cosmetic in nature. So these are designed to modify the look of the weapon. So you take your camo, you take your paint job, you take whatever variant attachments that you have managed to unlock, you combine them together inside of the gunsmith, and you can save and name it as a variant. You can load that variant and create a class and play with it, and then you can also sort of, socialize that weapon so that people can see your particular creation.
So, like, the thing that I love about the gunsmith is I can build my weapon. I mean, you get your stock, and then you're adding on your attachments, and I literally, in the gunsmith, can build the weapon that I want. It's fucking awesome. And then, like what Vaughn was saying, is at that point, then you can, like, if you want, you can totally personalize it and customize it. I mean, it's your weapon, man. This is my weapon. This is my gun. This is it. Like, this is the feature. This is one of the features I'm most excited about, because the weapons are just shit hot. They look awesome just as is, and then you can personalize it and you can build it out. It's just sick. I mean, you can add twice as many attachments as you've ever been able to. So in your pick 10, you could be like, you could add up, in Black Ops 2, we could add up to 3 attachments, right? Boom, you want a 4th? That's fine, you could do that. You wanna go 5? You can do it. You wanna go 6? You can do it, but dude, you're out. Like, you've used all your wild cards, you've used all your attachments, but man, you got this, like, you got this awesome weapon. Like, it's just awesome, right? It's just so, and so I think, like, the amount of combinations of weapons and that you will personalize to your play style is just, is awesome. And it's of course, it's always a trade-off with whatever else you want to, whatever, gadgets or grenades or anything else that you might not be able to take, or secondaries. All that stuff is still in play. But just the variety of weapons and the way you can build it out is just awesome inside there.
That is the single most exciting thing I've heard in a while from, like, a longtime Call of Duty fan. Customization has always been something that everybody's excited about. You wanted to get that red tiger camo. You wanted to have your gun be the special one. And with the emblem editor in Black Ops 2, you had that extra little bit so you could actually see, I killed you with your own weapon. Like, that hurts, that hurts. Now my neon pink and green camo weapon is truly my weapon. That's really exciting. It seems like customization is huge this year, especially for you guys. Is that just the tip of the iceberg, or is there more customization, character customization?
Well, what's cool is, you know what? You can do that in the campaign and in multiplayer
Yeah,
as
not
well.
just limited.
That's right.
This is a game feature.
That's insane. That's awesome. Yeah. I stream, I make YouTube videos. A lot of the time, I don't have my recording device on me or it's not recording at that moment. Help me out. What happens if I miss my moment? Are we good with theater mode?
Dude, are you at Treyarch?
Yeah, yeah, I'm at Treyarch.
All right.
Okay.
Well, we'll just leave it at that.
All right.
Hey, we're The Race, the team that races to max prestige every year on Twitch when the new Call of Duty launches.
So now that you've seen the incredible Black Ops 3 reveal trailer, click the Race to E3 button over on the left side of the page. You get a chance to win a trip to E3 2015, as well as be one of the first people in the world to play Black Ops 3 multiplayer alongside us.
Enter now! Hey guys.
Weapons don't have instincts. Weapons don't have loyalty. Weapons don't have judgment. Soldiers do. What happens when the soldier becomes the weapon?
Green seagull turn a deeper blue.
How far can we push technology
I could not foresee this thing happening to you.
before it starts pushing back?
Pre-order now and get access to the multiplayer beta.
You guys are really kicking ass this year with the whole brand new Black Ops 3 developmental cycle. You got an extra year and all that stuff. And as we get close to E3, you guys have some announcements. I'm going to be there. We're going to bring some of these viewers here. What do you guys got for us at E3?
Yeah, I'm totally stoked about E3. For the first time ever in the franchise, we're bringing multiplayer to E3 for like on the show floor. It's going to be awesome. I mean, and I think that's the thing about this game. It's like you got to get your hands on this game. It feels so good, and we know that not everyone can make it to E3. Right. So, for the first time in 7 years since we did it on World at War, for the fans, we're gonna have a multiplayer beta. And I'm gonna drive Vaughn crazy with that, but like, it's just awesome.
Look, we believe that you need to play. Let's get going. We're gonna put the game in your hands as soon as we can.
So we're totally stoked that fans are gonna get to play the game before it launches.
And you know, you'll help me out actually when you do.
Yeah, you guys are going to take a lot of the feedback from beta and use that as a way to fine-tune the game even more. It's been one of the biggest things we've all asked for is let us play the game early, please. We all want to. It's exciting, right?
Yeah, I mean, we can get a lot of valid data out of a beta that'd be early enough in the cycle where there's still time to make adjustments for, you know, actual launch, and then certainly post-launch, you know, that we don't quit after the game goes out. We keep working for a long time.
Well, thank you guys for taking the time to sit down and talk with me, give me all these tidbits of information. I know Twitch chat's pretty excited trying to read between the lines. If you want to get your hands on it, where do we go? What do we do?
Well, first it's going to be at E3, right? If you're there at E3, come on by. We're going to be playing. Say hi to Vaughn. And if you can't make E3, we realize a lot of you guys can't make E3. You can get in on the beta if you pre-order the game, and we'll be bringing that to you guys later this year.
Awesome. I'm extremely excited, and as you all know, you will also get to see multiplayer revealed at E3, and The Race will be streaming it as well for the first time. So get excited, and thanks, guys. Appreciate it. All right, looks like we're back, guys. Thank you for sitting through that. That was quite the interview.